Helena Baker, welcome to Executive Talk. How are
Thank
you
you.
today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining. This is so exciting. You have been like taking over the LinkedIn universe with your content and your English speaking network, and you have literally been like rocking the world with, or Israel at least, with with all this exciting stuff that you have going on. So
Thank you. That's very kind.
thank you so much for coming to chat with me here. I'd love to learn a little bit about you and what you do, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about the English speaking network. Let's start with where are you from? How long have you been here?
Sure. So I'm originally actually from Manchester in England, although I made
Cool.
Aliyah from London. I lived there for a while, and I made Aliyah in January 2019. So I've been here for about a year and a half, so not
Cool.
terribly long. And
How's it going for you so far? Is it good? Is it
It's
okay?
been
Are you
hectic.
managing?
Yeah, no, it's good overall, but it's been challenging. Definitely,
Yeah.
I think making Aliyah, people have a dream in their mind, and it's not always what we are told as kids or at camp. And I think it's really important to be realistic about that also.
I totally appreciate that. When people ask me about Israel all the time. Now, I lived here also for about 12 years, and they ask me like, "What's it like?" And I say, "You have to appreciate the big picture all the time, because if you're only looking at the fine details, you're going to go crazy."
Yeah.
And so you always have to have like the appreciation of like the bigger benefit of things that are going on here and why you're here and what you're doing here to really have fun here.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, you make a lot of sacrifices to be here, and I think that if you think that you're not going to make sacrifices, then it's probably not the right place for you. So,
Totally true.
it's,
I have a philosophy is that anyone who moves to Israel has to be a little bit crazy, because no
yeah,
normal
definitely,
person would jump
100%.
into that pool.
1,000,000%. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's extremely challenging, and we have to be ready for that before we move. But
Yeah,
if you're emotionally ready and you think you can handle it, then it's an amazing place to be, and it's a really special country to live in.
that definitely is. That's so cool. So you've been here for about a year and a half, and while you're
Yeah,
here, you launched the English speaking network.
networking group. Yeah, exactly.
How's that
Um,
going? What is that? Tell me about that.
So to go back a little bit, is that I am a freelance writer by trade, and in England I really grew my business through networking and going to tons of networking groups, 4 or 5 a week, which I would not recommend as a general rule. I would get up very early and I would just pound the pavements and go to networking events, and I really learned at the end of that process what networking works, what doesn't, and how it can really help you grow your business.
Yeah.
And when I made Aliyah, what I found is that there just weren't that many networking groups in the format that I was looking for. So there was a few groups here and there, and there was some often networking events where you walked into a room of 200 people and were expected to just kind of make conversation. But there wasn't really that space where you could grow a community and go to a regular networking event. And there was a few event kind of meetings of those, but nothing in Tel Aviv, nothing in Yerushalayim.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw a gap, and I really felt that it needed to be filled. So I decided after 6 months of me being in this country that I was the person to fill it, which was a little bit mad.
That's awesome.
So we launched in September 2019. We obviously paused because of Corona, so we had about a 3-month break.
Right.
Where we obviously didn't have meetings. And then now we've restarted a few weeks ago. We have 3 groups, Tel Aviv, Bet Shemesh, and Yerushalayim. And we're about to launch a 4th in Haifa.
Wow. Now you said
A
that
4th in Herzliya.
that's awesome. Now you said that there were no groups here that met the needs of what you felt were successful. So what is that? What is that? Like what would make a successful group?
There were a few groups, but not many. And really what I feel makes a successful group is where you're meeting regularly. You become a member of that group. So you really become part of a community rather than just going to a random event. You meet the same people. And I think often with networking, people think they have to meet a different person every time, which is quite ludicrous, really, if you think about it. Because if you meet somebody once and you give them your business card, and even if you have a nice chat, they're like, no, they're remembering you in 6 months, 9 months, when they or their friend or colleague needs your services, highly unlikely. If they meet you every single week or every other week, they really get to know and like and trust you. The likelihood of them referring you business is far higher, and the chance of that business being strong and good and really powerful is also higher. So I really encourage people when they're doing networking to not just see it as like giving out your business cards to tons of people. It's far more about the quality of those connections than the quantity of the numbers, which people so often forget.
Cool.
So that's what ESN is all about, is that we're a membership organization, so people can visit, but if they want to kind of continue coming, they have to join. And they look at the competition. So we have one accountant, one graphic designer, one web designer, whatever it is. And the idea really is to help people grow their businesses through that, particularly in the Ireland community, although also Israeli as well.
I love that. Have you had, I know you've only been doing it for a little bit of time now, but have you had, like, what kind of successes have you seen
Absolutely.
from
So
these groups?
thank God I've seen great success, which has been amazing. I mean, I'm not the kind of people have members. So in Tel Aviv, almost everyone's had ROI and serious ROI, which has been, thank God, amazing. Actually, our lawyer who joined in his first meeting, like, paid back his membership quite a few times over. So that's been really nice. And I'm doing a testimonial video at the moment with like members who've already gained significantly. So that's Tel Aviv, and that's been about 6 months. And I think almost all the members have had ROI. In Bet Shemesh, a few have, not all, but that's a very new group. And before Corona, it had only been going, I think, a month and a half before we had to stop. So it does take time. I think with networking, there's no quick fix. It's not that you might come to a meeting and happen to do well, but it's unlikely. You've really got to put the effort in. It's not just about networking as well. It's about, doing the one-to-ones and meeting with the people after the meetings as well, and chatting with them and getting to know them. And I really encourage all my members to continue like their chats offline and to have extra meetings with members and with guests as a way to really grow their business.
That's amazing. And do you find that you have mostly small business type people, large corporate? Who would be drawn to this this group?
Definitely for small businesses, and I'm very clear about that. We have everything from sole traders all the way up to businesses of 5 to 10 employees. I think that's probably the largest we have. I think definitely this kind of particular format works the best for small to medium-sized businesses.
Right. So that's cool. So one of the whole ideas of this executive talk podcast is to talk to business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are really putting themselves out there and getting a sense to learn from them about the types of things that they do and how they do it, and what makes them feel successful. And it's so interesting to me. I love learning about these new businesses and how people approach their with their mindset, because no one's got the same mindset. And I love that, because if we all did, we'd all be running the same stupid business, and that's not fun for anyone, So I love to get into the mindsets of how entrepreneurs, how executives really approach their their business, what they feel so passionate about. So I love to learn about that. That's fantastic. Thank you for bringing me into that picture with you to see how it's going.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind. I appreciate being asked. I love podcasts. I'm actually a huge podcast addict. So speaking on podcasts is a little passion of mine. So I really appreciate it.
Tell me about your transition from journalism. You used to work for the Huffington Post, right?
I did a few blogs for them. I don't think anyone really gets paid for the Huffington Post, but it looks really good on on your LinkedIn. It's actually really easy, to be honest. It's a secret. I wrote an article, I sent it to them, they proved it. I got login details, and you can just upload whatever you want, really. So
that's awesome.
I never really worked as a journalist. It's how I toyed with journalism the way that all writers do, because I knew all I could really do was write at the time, but there's very little money in it, and you have to really put in the hours and invest, and I just didn't have the money all the time to do that, to be honest. I had to be earning straight away, and that's why I found copywriting. But certainly that journalism experience helped me become a copywriter and helped me with the writing. But you've got to really want to be journalism in this day and age to be one, and I didn't really want to be one.
You really
I wanted to write, I wanted to earn money.
So you don't miss writing?
I still have some writing clients in England. I don't have many in Israel. It's a very different culture and a very different payment option. I still have some English clients that I work with. I really only take projects that I really want to take at this point. And I am hoping eventually to stop that. Certainly with Corona I had to, because I wasn't earning anything from the networking. So it's still a new business. Listen, I've got to diversify.
You know what? One of the things that I learned about moving to Israel is that you have to be flexible with the things that you are willing and want to do and are inspired to. This is the chance to take ideas that I never thought I would have done in America. I never would have thought about doing this or that, and you're like, oh, here I have to think of something else. So what are my choices? So so I think that's great. I think that's great. What's your vision for where the English-speaking networking group is
Yeah.
going?
So I now have the 3 groups. Usually I'm very new. Actually, our second
Okay.
meeting is tomorrow, so she's still a
Cool.
baby. Not that they're all
Oh, very
particularly
nice.
old. Hopefully,
Okay.
please God, I'll be launching in July.
Okay.
And Haifa probably in September.
Okay.
After then, I think I'll take a little bit of a break in kind of opening groups all over Israel. I have a few other locations I have in mind
Okay.
and the potential to do an evening event. I also want to make sure that my members are really benefiting from it. It's all well and good opening groups, but are people gaining from it? So I'm constantly looking at ways to help the members. So I
Right.
recently created an initiative where any member who wants to give a workshop on their kind of business can do so. We'll advertise it through our social media channels. We'll put Facebook ads behind it. We'll really put a lot into it. It'll be free for members, but paid for non-members, and they
Cool.
can get the profits for that. So that's a
Love
really
it.
cool thing that members can really gain from. And for me, it's really important that not only am I opening groups and helping new members, but also helping my
Right.
existing members, because retention is also super important.
Right. How about creating like a giant global network where all the different
It's so
groups come
interesting to say
together,
that. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. And I have a secret plan, which is not so secret. Eventually, I've actually bought the domain name for it, so no one steal it, is to have something called the Jewish Global Network, which will be an online networking platform where people pay from all over the world, Jews from
Right.
everywhere, England, America, Argentina, whatever it is, it'll all be in English. They'll pay $10, $20 a month, and for that, they'll get 2 online meetings a month. They'll get 1 guest speaker. They'll be part of a directory of businesses all over the world, which will really help their
Right.
SEO and also people searching for them. And that's really what I hope for in the future. I'm not there yet. I need to get ESN really cover, and I also need to really grow my Instagram. It's like a huge part of what I'm doing at the moment, is growing my social media presence, which I've been doing for a long time, but really focusing on that
Right.
at the moment.
Great.
So that's like the very, very long-term goal, but we're looking at like 5 to 10 years before I think that's even on the table. But that is like the very, very long-term goal.
That's fantastic. I love that. I'm so excited for you. It should be with continued
you.
success, and like
My
I'm so excited and looking forward to hear about all the amazing works and projects that come out of this amazing group.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. It's very kind.
No problem. All right, I have a question for you. Let's get down to business. Okay,
Sure.
you are the networking queen right now, right? You clearly got this all set up. You have your vision of what it's supposed to be, how it is successful. Tell me, what are the main components of a successful networking event? Whether you're meeting with 1 or 2 people, with 10 or 20 people, online, in a conference somewhere, like what are your top talking points?
Okay. So first thing I want to say about networking is that it's all in the follow-up. So if you go to a networking meeting and you give out 20 business cards and you don't email any of those people afterwards, then your networking meeting was essentially pointless. And it's people are so obsessed with giving out, okay, I'm going to give out 5 business cards, I'm going to give out 15. You should be taking business cards. You should be taking everybody's details and you should be following up with them. I recommend that everyone takes people's business cards, writes notes on the back of the card about what they spoke about, so they can write a personalized email. You should be adding them on social media. Networking is just a part of the puzzle, but to really have successful networking is making sure that follow-up happens over social, over email. So that's the first thing, is that I think people always forget about that key part of networking. And networking itself, I think there's a few things. And the first thing I say about networking events is you should always arrive early, because arriving late, often people form cliques. It's very hard to get in. If you arrive early, there's much more likely you'll be able to speak to the organizer, who is often very likely to help you. But also there'll be just a few people scattered around and it's much less daunting. So I always recommend people arrive early. I know it's not cool, but networking isn't cool, and that's okay. So that's the first thing. And I know that networking can seem very daunting, and I always recommend to people that you try and have maybe a certain amount of conversations. So you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to have 5 conversations. They're going to be good, useful conversations, and that should be a success for you. And I think that's if you have like a really clear goal in mind. And again, you're always taking their business cards. You can give yours, but it doesn't really help you particularly.
Right.
If you have that clear goal in mind, I think it's much easier. And when you're talking to someone, you should never talk about yourself at networking ever, unless obviously expressively asked. You should always make about the other person, because you want them to have good connotations of you. So don't just sell. In fact, you should never be selling. You should just be saying, hi, my name's Helena. Who are you? What do you do? How's Aliyah? Particularly in Israel, there's so much richness you can talk about, because making Aliyah is an experience in of itself that's incredibly unique. So really just try and keep the focus on the other person, and don't really speak about yourself so much. That will come later. Like I said, it's really all in the follow-up.
Okay. Do you think that connecting with someone on LinkedIn or Facebook is enough of a follow-up activity to get the ball rolling?
It depends on how active you are on those platforms. So if I just want to, I would say I go to a networking event and I speak to 20 people. There might be 2 people who I'm like, okay, I really want to speak to them afterwards, their potential, whatever it is, and I want to arrange meetings with them. So I would email them and I'd say, okay, I want to meet on this date, in this place, at this time, because it's much easier for them to say yes. I would always do that. If then I feel like, listen, I met them, I always have them on Facebook and LinkedIn because I'm very active on those platforms. I know that just by kind of connecting with them there, they'll see the power of what I'm doing and they'll understand it. But if you're not active on those platforms, then it is problematic. And I do think that networking in this day and age is not just an offline thing, but it's an online thing as well. And you really should, if you want to do powerful networking, be using LinkedIn, and posting and being involved on the platform. But that's another conversation to itself. But I do think they go hand in hand.
Do people still really hand out business cards? Like, is that a thing today?
100%. Certainly in England, in Israel, I think a little bit less so. If I'm honest, actually, in Israel, what I find is that people are really into Facebook. So when I made Aliyah, my Facebook was personal. It wasn't something I shared with clients or with contacts. And I made Aliyah, and everyone was adding me. So I had to quickly go through my Facebook and delete anything that was inappropriate. And now it's super professional. Not super professional. It's still like more casual than I'd say LinkedIn.
Right.
But that's just the way it goes in Israel. So to be honest with you, like on Facebook is such an easy social media platform to use. You can comment so easily, you can be active so easily. And in Israel, you can add. People expect you to add them on Facebook in terms of business, which is something that's very unique to
I know, and honestly, I hate that. I really do.
Yeah,
like LinkedIn. Fine, I understand. You could be professional, you could do whatever you want to be that place, but like Facebook for me, and I know that like marketers across the world are going to shout at me right now because they'll tell you any platform that you're in front of people is a marketing platform. Go, and you should do whatever you have to do. And I was like, you know what? I care too much about people and about my people to be able to be blasting marketing content across all platforms. You're going to lose all your friends. You're going to lose the people who you really want to be connecting with. And so I actually still keep my Facebook somewhat personal. Yeah, I'll post a few things on there, but primarily it's like personal things. Instagram is like only personal, or like only things that like really like like no one on work is following me on my Instagram account, which is hopefully and it'll keep like that because I don't want them seeing all those weird random things that I like posting for the fun of it. But LinkedIn is the place where I feel like you really have the opportunity to connect, to appreciate, and value people's work opportunities, professionalism, and to, in some degree, personal component as well. And like and you're able to incorporate all of those aspects on that one channel. And that way, that's my channel of choice. But I do value and appreciate that, the opportunities to talk to people and communicate with people across all channels. Now, if you were to look at my LinkedIn profile, the very first line in my About Me section is, "Don't worry, I'm not going to pitch you." Because you have too many people who are so concerned about, I could tell you from my personal examples, right? How many people connect with me, and then all of a sudden, and like I have a bet going with my friends. I'm like, I'll put you 10 to 1 that this person are going to send me a cold pitch right now, right? And to me, and I believe this is true on social networking as well as in-person networking, is that nobody wants to be pitched right away. Nobody does. If you're creating a relationship with someone, whether it's professional or not professional, talk to them as an individual, learn about who they are, earn their trust, earn their value. Nobody wants to be cold pitched. And even if you're walking into a meeting, an in-person networking event, and you just walk in and be like, "Hey, let me sell you a solution to your problem." I don't even know who you are. Why are you going to listen to me? I will literally walk away. I was like, so I'm, that's not for me. But and so
listen, you're 100% right. And LinkedIn is, I always say, like, I think when I message people on LinkedIn to add them, I just say, "Hi, my name's Helena, I do this. What do you do? Where are you from?" 9 out of 10 they won't reply, but they will accept, which is really all I need from them. And then they'll see my post, and that's great. I also get a lot of cold pitches, and I also have this recently, and I don't know if you get this, where people write a blog, they create a group, and they add you to the group, and they're like, here's my new blog. And it's so, I'm like, who does that? Like, that's really odd.
Yeah.
I really don't understand it. It's very strange. And what also I find odd is that sometimes people write a post which has nothing to do with me, and they'll tag me in it.
Yes.
That's
And you're like,
annoying.
really? That is
Don't
not
do
okay.
that.
No, there needs to be a sense of etiquette. And I firmly believe, I know, and I firmly believe, hands down, that if we as a community consciously took an effort to stop cold pitching and doing those, like adding people and like pushing all those things, that we will have a better business environment for it. You know what I mean? That, like, I absolutely do. I think people are turned off by this whole, like, yeah, cold pitch and blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, no, that's not how we work. You want me to know something? Great. So then learn about me, talk to me, see what I have to do, you know, and then really see if I'm a solution for you. Don't just like spam any and every single person that you talk to. And I truly believe that if we were to get out of a world of, those, spam really, cold pitches, I think that our network of work opportunity will enhance for it.
100%.
I'm with you. But that's just me. So
no, I agree with you 100%. I get these messages. Sometimes I get like messages in Hebrew, and I'm like,
nah, if you really know who I am, you're going to talk to me in English.
It's in English. Like, as in I can read Hebrew, but it's going to take me much longer, and I'm even more likely to reply in Hebrew. So,
no, I know that if anyone sends me a note in Hebrew, they don't know me at all. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm like, just like, no. I actually once had someone apologize to me. I didn't even ask for it. They did it on their own. Someone connected with me, right? They sent me, like, right away. They sent me like a message. Hi, I'm writing this new blog, and like this new thing, and I want you to take a look at it and tell me if it's good for you. One of these, like, pitches.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that.
Did you reply or just ignore it?
No, I didn't reply. I was like,
just ignored you.
Sometimes I will reply and say, no, thank you. You know what I mean? Because, like, if someone talks to me, I do my best to, like, at least reciprocate that conversation, even though it's clear they don't want to have a conversation with me, right? But in this case, I was like, forget, I am not interested, right? And then a few weeks later, I put out a post, and that woman commented on the post. And I wrote, and I just, like, and I gave it a check mark, or like, like a thumbs up, like, thank you, like for commenting. And then she sent me a private message, and she said, I'm sorry that I cold pitched you. And I was like, you know what? Respect, we're all good. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Cool. We're all good.
I really respect that. I wonder what, maybe she just, I don't know, maybe she's new to LinkedIn. I don't know. People do some really, like, odd things on LinkedIn. I mean, the blog and the creating a group and putting a blog in it is definitely the weirdest thing that people do. Yeah. And the one I find the most infuriating. But, like, people do very strange things on LinkedIn, and you're like, whoa, like, people forget that it's just networking offline. So you should do, like, you wouldn't walk into a room and, like, just fling your blog at someone, or you wouldn't just go to a room and just start selling to someone and, like, harassing them. Like, that isn't how it works. Same online.
What would you do if at one of your events someone came in with a stack of papers and say, hey, I just wrote a blog here, and just start handing them out to people?
But you know what? Some people, trying to think, people often at my networking events, they are a little bit overly salesy, which really isn't what we're about. And I really try and guide them through it. And often at the end as well, I give everyone a chance to, like, say what they gained from the group or from networking in general. And people often use it as a chance to give a sales pitch again. And I'm really quite strict. I say, like, if someone does that, I say, listen, this is not an opportunity to sell yourself again. Like, please make sure it's just around networking. And I think you do have to educate people about networking, because if you're not used to it and you don't understand it properly and you're desperate and hungry for a sale, you don't necessarily act in the way that's most appropriate. And I think that is, like, such a big problem with networking, is that people don't know how to do it, and then it doesn't work.
Do you think that there's a difference in personality and mentality for a person who comes to an event with, like, that need of, I need a sale today to be in business, versus someone with the mindset of, I have time to develop and nurture? Like, do you see
Yeah,
what's the difference between between
I
those two
think
types of
everyone's
people?
desperate for business. I think like however successful you are, that you always want more. Like you always want to grow, and once you grow, then you have employees, and they need to be given work. So I don't feel there's anyone who's like really relaxed about sales and is just like,
Right.
oh, like if I get a sale, that's nice. Like everyone's hungry for sales. Everyone's desperate for them. I don't think anyone isn't. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at networking if they had enough. They had enough, work to feed themselves and their employees and whoever it was.
Right.
I do think there's some people who are able to hide that better. There's maybe some people who are a little bit less desperate, but I think we're all hungry for the work, or we wouldn't be doing marketing at the end of the day. And I think it's really like easy to like it. I think it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm not so desperate for the work. Like bullshit, you're here, you're in networking events. You are like you do want to get work. People sometimes.
No, of
I used to get this
course.
in England a lot. I don't get it so much in Israel. I get in England like, I'm just doing it for the love. I'm not doing it for the money. And they're like, no, you're not doing it for the love. Like you're doing it for the money because we have to feed ourselves. Like,
Correct.
and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like we have basic needs that have to be met. Like no one is just doing it for the love. You might love it also.
No, 100%. People are in business because they want to do. They want most people, are not, most people are in business because they need that job in order to propel their life forward into the way that they want it to be. Whatever goal and vision they have for their lives, that's why they're in business. Otherwise they would be on the beach every day, which I wish I'd love to be on the beach every day.
I think there's like a culture, and again, it's less in Israel, but it's certainly still there. Like we don't talk about money, we don't discuss it amongst the Anglos. Israelis, I don't think care. I think they talk about money openly, but like there's no reason not to. Like we are like I love what I do and I love networking, but ultimately I need to. In a salary, I have ambitions. I want to have a comfortable life. Like, and these things are okay. Particularly as a woman, you're often, you're told not to talk about money, and you should be doing it for the passion or for this or for that. But it's okay to be doing it for the money. Like that is life. That's why business owners do it.
That's why we're in business. I have, I've worked very closely with a head of sales who was adamant, and I believe this also, just in a different component, right? I firmly believe that if you want to see success, you have to write out the goal that you want and like actually put it on a piece of paper and put it on your computer screen, have it around, like look at it all the time, and like this is what I want, right? This is what I'm striving for. And he would do the same thing, but he would say, but your goal has to be something which is financial, that only money can buy. What is your financial goal when you're dealing with sales? Because when you know what you want to work for, that, and you realize that that's what it is, like you will do better at your job because you're constantly fighting for that prize. And I agree with that. People come to networking events because yes, they want to learn. Yes, they want to expose, themselves to the network and be able to let people know that they exist, but also because they're looking to grow their business. And that's, and I think that's an honest reaction to, to these events. Now, I would, and that's fine. And now maybe you'll correct me, but in my opinion, however, the flip side to that is if someone comes into that event and all they do is talking cash, and they're only talking money and like goals and money and money and money, that's not someone I want to be necessarily working with either.
Yeah, I think it's like you don't need to say I'm doing it for the love and kind of talk rubbish, but I definitely think at the same time, like you say, like a networking event should just be a conversation. It's like dating. Like I would say, think of it more like that than about sales. Like you should be wooing the other person. You should be interested, engaged, fun. Like you should just be a normal human interaction with a normal human being. And there's no need to kind of make pretenses about it's for this, it's for that. But I think at the same time, you really do just need to be relaxed at networking. I think people overthink it a lot. Like it's just talking to people. Like we all talk to people every day on the phone, in business. That's our lives. Like I just think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. Helena, thank you so much for coming to chat with me. It's really exciting to hear about all the awesome and exciting things that you have going on. I'm excited to see the point when there is a English-speaking networking group in every single city in Israel and around the world about, helping everyone grow their businesses and, and really, and really maximize the power of a solid networking opportunity.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
No problem. Have a great day. Thank you.